How's it going, everybody? So, we are back for another What I Watched this month in quarantine, and this is February edition. I watched a lot of movies this past month. I tried to watch some from the 2010s that I missed, and I also watched some newer films in preparation for the Golden Globes, which you guys saw my thoughts about that a couple days ago. I'll leave that right up there wherever it is, and I also had to prepare for the Oscars. But I guess we should just quit talking and get into this, where I can talk more, I guess. First off, I watched Split, which I gave a 4 out of 5. This is my first M. Night Shyamalan film, and I was very happy with it. I thought that there were some great thrills, and I thought that McAvoy was phenomenal in his role. It drags a little bit around the middle, but most of the time it does work. Then I watched 42, which I gave a 4 out of 5. It stars the late and great Chadwick Boseman, and Chadwick Boseman gives an excellent performance in this very great and really culturally significant biopic. Next up, I watched The Life Ahead, which I gave a 3 out of 5. It's a Netflix foreign film that won Best Song at the Golden Globes, and it was fine. I didn't love it, but I definitely didn't hate it either, and I thought the performances were pretty good. Then, after watching Rise of the Planet of the Apes last month, I watched Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was a great story with an awesome villain, and I love Caesar. I think Caesar is one of the greatest protagonists of at least the last 10 years, and I thought the whole movie worked really well, and I might like it even more than Rise. Then I watched On the Rocks, which I gave a 4 out of 5, a Sofia Coppola and it's her newest film. I completely understand why people don't like this, but I really love Bill Murray, and I thought Rashida Jones was really funny in Parks and Rec, so I had overall a lot of fun with it. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5 to, might be my favorite of the series. It was a lot of fun to see Harrison Ford, one of my favorite actors, and the late Sean Connery working together, and I thought it was very enjoyable. And after watching Temple of Doom last month and actually really enjoying it, I didn't know how much I'd like Last Crusade, and like I said, I think it might be my favorite. Now for Time, which I gave a 4 out of 5, a documentary from 2020, which I thought was very interesting. I thought that all of the messaging it had in it was very cool, and that's about all I have to say. Dick Johnson is Dead, which I gave a 4 out of 5 to, is the best documentary of 2020, in my opinion, and I think that it managed to be sad and a funny documentary, and maybe one of my favorite documentaries of all time that at least I've ever seen. Then there was The Trial of the Chicago 7, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5, an Aaron Sorkin directed and written film, and it really worked for me. I enjoy a lot of Sorkin's scripts, and I really need to watch Steve Jobs and Molly's Game. Trial of the Chicago 7 is currently sitting at number 2 on my 2020 ranked list, which I will probably put that list out right before the Oscars. Then I rewatched Star Wars, which I gave a 4 out of 5. There's not much to say about this that nobody else has said, but I liked it more than last time, and I still think Empire is the best, but this still was quite enjoyable. Then I watched the late Chadwick Boseman's last performance, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which I gave a 4 out of 5. He and Viola Davis's performances were very good, and it's on Netflix, so please go and watch it. And now for Marriage Story, the first of many 5-star first-time watches on this month. This movie might be in my top 30, mainly because of Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson's performances, which are absolutely excellent. This movie is currently my favorite movie of 2019, but I plan on watching Parasite and The Irishman in March. Now for Lady Bird, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5 to. It is one of my favorite movies of 2017, and that's all I will say because I think I'm going to do a video on, in my opinion, 2 of the biggest new directors, Greta Gerwig and Damien Chazelle. Next up was Boys State, in my eyes, sort of overrated documentary from Apple TV Plus in 2020, which I only gave a 3.5 out of 5. I saw a lot of people really liked it, but I didn't find it super interesting, to be honest. Maybe I just wasn't really that much into the whole thing the documentary was doing. Now for the classic Sherlock Jr., which I gave a 4 out of 5 to. It was a very interesting film, and I do think everyone should watch it. I say go watch it right now, and go in with nothing that you know, and go watch it on HBO Max. It is very, very short. Then I watched Taxi Driver, which I gave a 5 out of 5 to. It is one of my first Scorsese films, and it really cemented him in my top 10 directors and Robert De Niro in my top 10 actors. This is probably one of the technical best films I have ever seen. Then I watched Casino Royale, which I gave a 5 out of 5 to. This is probably one of the best action movies I have ever seen, and Daniel Craig was fantastic as Bond in this movie. I'm a bit nervous to check out the later ones, though, because I heard they aren't fantastic, and this one really set the bar for me. Next up, for Valentine's Day, I watched About Time, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5 to because I heard it was great from Josh from After Credits, and it was. It was very fun. Go check out Josh from After Credits with a link in the description. Then I watched, in my eyes, a more overrated film being Night of the Living Dead, which I gave a 3.5 out of 5 to. I loved the beginning, and then I felt like pretty much nothing happened the entire rest of the movie. Then I watched Whiplash, which I gave a 5 out of 5 to, which has now entered my top 5 of all time. And I still have that video coming, so I won't talk a lot about it. Then I rewatched Napoleon Dynamite, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5 to, the same rating as I gave it last time, which is still one of my favorite comedies and extremely fun and awkward. After that, I watched my first Quentin Tarantino film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5 to, and I thought the first 2 acts were really great, and the hanging out thing was awesome, and Brad Pitt's side performance was very great, but the ending brought this film up to my top 3 of 2019. Next up is Annie Hall, which I gave a 3.5 out of 5 to, another overrated film, and I enjoyed some of this. I didn't find it super funny, but Woody Allen did a decent job with it. After that, I watched Casablanca, which I gave a 4 out of 5 to, and it has one of the best scripts I have ever seen. I'd recommend everybody go and watch it, but I do need to rewatch it. Then I watched the great 2017 comedy The Big Sick, which I did give a 4 out of 5 to, and Kumail Nanjiani is very funny in this movie along with everybody else. I am very excited to see him in Marvel's The Eternals, coming out later this year. After that, I watched my favorite film of 2020, Minari, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5 to. It was absolutely phenomenal, and I'd honestly recommend it to everyone. Steven Yeun, Ya Jung-yoon, and Alan S. Kim are awesome in this movie, and I think everything about it just really works. I don't think it will, and I maybe don't even think it deserves Best Picture, but I wouldn't be opposed to it winning at all because I very much loved it. From there was Fighting with My Family from 2019, which I gave a 3 out of 5 to. It's probably one of the most mediocre films I've seen so far this year. I thought it had some good moments, but other than Florence Pugh, this movie was very forgettable. After that was my first 2021 new release film, Penguin Bloom, which I gave a 3 out of 5. It's a Netflix original, which I watched for Andrew Lincoln from The Walking Dead, and he was good, and so was his wife in the film, but that's about all I have to say about it. Then I watched Nomadland, which I gave a 4 out of 5 to. It's one of the highest rated movies of last year, and yeah, it was good. I thought Frances McDormand was great, and the cinematography was good, and I thought Chloe Zhao did a good job, but it definitely needs a rewatch for me. Then was Shaun of the Dead, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5 to, my second Edgar Wright film after Scott Pilgrim, which I still think I may like it a little more, and I thought it was pretty funny. I watched quite a bit of comedies this month, and this is probably up in a higher tier compared to some of the other comedies. I think I liked Step Brothers a little more, though. More on that a little bit later. From there was my second Sofia Coppola film, Lost in Translation, which I gave a 4 out of 5 to, and it was good. I thought Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson did a good job, and the movie kept me invested, but I think it's supposed to be a comedy, and I did not find it very funny, to be honest. And as I said about 40 seconds ago, I did watch Step Brothers, which I gave a 4.5 out of 5 to this month, and it was awesome. This movie is honestly hilarious, and Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly are awesome in this. Please go and watch it. Then I saw my third Rian Johnson film, Looper, which I gave a 4 out of 5 to, which I thought was pretty good. I don't like it as much as Knives Out, but I do like it more than The Last Jedi, and I thought Joseph Gordon-Levitt was great in it, and that's about all I have to say. Just go watch it. I think it's on Amazon Stars. Then I had the absolute privilege to watch my first B movie, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, and I gave it a 1 out of 5 because that is the grade I give to So Bad It's Good movies. This movie is funny and you all should watch it because it's on Amazon Prime Video right now. Then I rewatched The Social Network, which I gave a 5 out of 5 to, twice in 24 hours, and I'll give you a rundown why. I'm basically going on a podcast called the Movie Vault Podcast, which should be out by the time this video is out, and I will shamelessly plug and say go listen on iTunes and Spotify. But basically, we were talking about The Social Network, so I watched it the night before because they didn't tell me we were watching it before we filmed the podcast, so I watched it twice, but it's okay because I love it. Then I saw my second B movie of the month, The Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which I gave a 1 out of 5 to, which was also hilarious and a terrible horror movie, but it was pretty awesome. After that, I watched Borat's subsequent movie film, which I gave a 4 out of 5 to without having watched the first one. I did watch this for the Golden Globes, and it was pretty good. Some jokes didn't land, but it did have some very funny moments, and Sacha Baron Cohen, as well as Maria Baklava, were awesome in it. Then I watched Tom and Jerry, which I gave a review on, so go check that out. Don't worry, it's only about 3 minutes. And finally, I watched Hillbilly Elegy, which I gave a 3 out of 5 to, which wasn't a great way to end this month because it wasn't fantastic, but Glenn Close and Amy Adams were very good in it. I still think Amanda Seyfried needs the supporting actress from Mank win, though, at the Oscars. So, those were the movies I watched this month. I don't know how many movies I will watch in March, but I do know that at the beginning of the month it will be pretty packed. I have a bunch more 2020 movies to watch before my Oscar coverage, and I also need to see Coming to America in preparation for Coming to America, along with some other stuff. So, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys watched this month, and be sure to like and subscribe, and see you guys.